Welcome to Category 5 Technology TV. This week it's all about the Orville. They're going to be shooting Season 3 in just a couple of weeks' time. And but I want you to learn all about it, but I don't want you to learn it from us. We're going to give it to you firsthand as we have a Zoom meeting with the Orville backstage. Stick around. Our live recordings are trusted only to solid-state drives by Kingston Technology. Revive your computer with improved performance and reliability over traditional hard drives with Kingston SSDs.
Category 5 TV streams live with Telestream Wirecast and Nimble Streamer. Tune in every week on Roku, Kodi, and other HLS video players. For local showtimes, visit category5.tv.
Category5.tv is a member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. cat5.tv/TPN and the International Association of Internet Broadcasters. cat5.tv/IAIB.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Before we jump into it, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and also click on that bell so that you get notifications every time we post a new and shiny video. Now, I want to give you a heads up. If you haven't seen the first 2 seasons of The Orville, there may be spoilers this week.
Right.
There may
just gonna have to deal
be
with
spoilers. However, if you've watched the first 2 seasons of The Orville, please help me to welcome The Orville's editor and associate producer, Tom Costantino, along with visual effects producer, Brooke Noska. Welcome to the show, you two.
Hi.
Co-producer.
Can you
bump?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, more responsibility.
Well, and
less pay.
Fantastic. Story of your
Brooke's a
life.
co-visual effects supervisor too, because she's in everything.
So this brings me, like, things are changing right now with the show because you're just about to begin filming Season 3. So maybe for myself, just to kind of refresh where things are at as far as your positions go, can you introduce yourselves individually and what it is that you do at the Orville? So I'm not talking job. I'm not talking just job titles. I want to know, like, what do you actually do behind the scenes?
Sure.
Yeah, so as the VFX producer on the show, I'm kind of the cat wrangler. You know, that's a professional term of it. And, you know, basically the visual effects is such an inclusive department. We're part of pre-production, we're part of production, we're part of post-production and getting it out the door. So we're kind of the only department that has our hands, fingers, and toes in every single part of it, coupled up with the editorial and post department. So because we're such a huge show, we're set in space. Spoiler, we don't shoot there. We have to make sure that everybody is all on the same page on what we need to shoot, what it needs to look like, smell like, feel like, and that carries all the way from start to finish. And so I get to make sure that it looks like that, it feels like that, and it costs like that.
Definitely costly.
Yeah. And then as the co-supervisor with Brandon Fayette and our other new co-supervisor, Eric Hayden, I kind of just help make sure that everything that is included in this season is also being achieved creatively, so that we can kind of take a little bit off their plate so that Brandon can focus on the previs, he can focus on set, Eric can focus on set and with our internal team, and that I can focus more on making sure that everything's prepped for Seth with those guys' help and getting it out the door, and you guys get a super awesome show.
Yeah. And Tom, yourself?
Yeah, well, I started as an editor on the pilot. I've been here. I'm old school. I've been here since day one. So my role now is that I'm a supervising editor and co-producer. So I'm going to have 3 editors and 3 assistants under me. I'm in charge of all picture editorial, making sure, you know, I'll still have my hands in stuff, cutting picture, making sure things go well with second units. My co-producer stuff encompasses a lot of things. It helps out with marketing. I'm usually in charge of Comic-Con and various other things that we need around here. There's just a lot to do. It's a big show, so I'm sort of like the catch-all, and I often happen to be the resident fanboy of Star Trek and all things Star Trek and, you know, and sci-fi in general, so I'm sort of the go-to for the inside track on that. So that's me in a nutshell, but
And working behind the scenes at such a big show as the Orville, like, what is the workload like? Are you guys, like, do you get enough downtime that you're keeping your sanity? Is it like, what does it feel like to be working at the Orville?
I mean, I think we are kind of a basket of characters, and we thrive on insanity.
Sure.
That's what fuels us. That's what fuels our passion, is just being insane all the time. Yeah, I mean, we know what it's like to be on a show like this, especially since we've done it for the last 2 seasons. So, you know, stepping it up even another notch in season 3, we're ready for it. We're juiced, and that's kind of why we signed on, because we can't get enough.
Yeah,
it's an ambitious show. So if you're looking for a 9-to-5 job, this isn't the place for you, and we're okay with that. I mean, it takes a lot to put people, for lack of a better word, in space doing epic things. You know, everybody's here because they want to be here. So
yeah,
it's you know, it's a labor of love.
And there's not a lot of shows like us out there. So when you finally do get on one that people actually like, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Kind of want to stick around.
Yeah. So I want to get into the tech, because Category 5 Technology TV is a tech broadcast, and so I want to kind of, you know, have that discussion. And one of the things, like, we think about way back in the day, and I think, you know, Star Trek: The Next Generation, I'm a big fanboy, Tom. And so back then, as a fan of Star Trek, there was no social media. There was no capability for me as a fan to even let the producers of the show know that I was loving what they were doing. Technology has changed a lot since then. So how has kind of the advent of social media in particular, how has that made it different for you as producers of the show, just being able to communicate with your fans?
Well, you know, having that kind of interactivity, it's 98% a blessing. It's 2% a curse.
Yeah.
We get almost real-time feedback about how people feel about the show. Right. Also, so that's kind of an amazing thing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There were probably a couple things that we tweaked last year based on some information we got. You know, if it's like the general trend from posts or about something, we'll occasionally look at that ourselves and maybe change part of the script or reshoot something small. I mean, we don't see change scripts and things, but are you able to come up with an example of such a scenario? Yeah, I mean, for telling tales out of school, the AV Club, who is very, they've become real fans of ours, and we love their reading. They made an offhanded comment about the Kalon outfits, and you know, next thing you know, we were you know, amping up some battle stuff. Even though they meant it as a compliment, it's like, you know, all right, we see it's a little kitschy. We can fix that. We can make them more horrifying. So, yeah. So some stuff for 213, the finale, we did some pickups. I mean, that's the short of it. But it's more just like a generalized sense of, oh, okay, this is how the fans are feeling. This is what they appreciate about us. You know, we are here for them. So, you know, we would like to, you know, we like to know what they are thinking. And it feels, from a fan perspective, it really feels like the evolution of being able to be entertained, because we're interacting with the very creators of the show. So it's a really interesting kind of change in the paradigm. Yeah, absolutely. We met online, so exactly. So, so thinking of the social media piece, is there any particular type of interaction that that you behind the scenes, or even the cast and the crew of the show, that you really love to receive? I love to. God, you want to answer that one? Yeah, I mean, we've kind of mentioned it before about how, like, once again, we're so excited about the work that we finally get to, like, release to you guys. Yeah. So it was always exciting when we would turn it on, when it was on, you know, Thursday nights, we'd turn it on and we'd be more glued to the Twitter live feed and how, like, oh my God, did you just see that? Oh! Or it's like, oh man, is Mortis gonna sing? Oh no, like, we're feeling it with you guys, because we've watched it. We've watched it without any visual effects. We've watched it with visual effects. We've watched it without color, with score, without, like, we've seen it probably 100 times by the time you guys have seen it. Yeah. So in order to get that, like, one more fresh eye, and somebody will, I mean, we do a really, really good job to make sure we don't leave any coffee cups in there, but we really like to, make sure that what we've been seeing and enjoying and pitching and
seeing through is exactly what everybody else is excited about and having the reactions that we're intending to have. So yeah, it's really awesome to get that live feedback from the fans, whether it be good, bad, ugly, or otherwise. So yeah, I don't know, it's been really, really exciting.
It's literally, I mean, usually, look, in fairness, we're working. We go to the wire sometimes just because of the massive amount of the show. So it's 15 of us right outside here scrolling through our phones, trying to see what people are saying.
It's not sexy like theater.
No, it's not sexy.
We all have laptops. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, and then we follow, and then it's always interesting to see something that we glossed over or didn't think would play that someone loves, or it's like something we thought would be like the biggest point. The biggest block point just glows like right past us. We spent days working on it.
So do you gotta stop yourself from being like, guys, did you notice that particular thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's one thing I kind of I snuck in there was during the episode when they find the iPhone. We never got a time on what time it was supposed to be. So I was like, make it 1:43. That'll be my I love you to the audience. And nobody was like, oh my God, it's time 1:43. I was like,
boom, there it is.
I stuck that in. I love you guys.
It's funny. People didn't.
Nobody got it.
Now you realize everybody's going to be looking for it now. So,
but the great thing,
you guys too.
The great thing is that there's a recurring cast of internet characters that we. I mean, it's pretty vast, but there's probably 500 or 1,000 recurring super fans, maybe even more that we all try to interact with, and they all have their own personalities, their own interests, and that is probably the best part of the job, because whenever I'm not feeling so great about the gig, one of them will pep me up.
Oh, good man. And you guys, you're all doing such a wonderful job. And as a viewer of the show, we've just been loving all of the work that you've been doing. We'll talk a little bit more about the fandom piece in just a couple of moments' time. But I want to touch on the technology that you're actually using in the set area of the show. So how has, for example, robotics or digital technology really changed the production process and kind of the behind the scenes for a production like the Orville?
Well, for us in post, we do a lot of work with shotgun so that we can track, we produced over 7,000 shots last season that you guys saw, but there was 22,000 versions that went through the pipeline. Wow. That's the biggest television show I've ever heard.
So how many cameras are you simultaneously shooting with?
We're shooting. I mean, we'll shoot with the standard, three,
maybe four,
maybe a drone unit, maybe a special, Technocrane situation. But in order to get all the data that we need, from those cameras, the metadata, the camera data, the measurements and all that, that's all been more or less digitized, which, even just helps the throughput of what we need from the set. And just having, again, just having access to, we all have iPhones, so we share notes of hey, by the way, we shot off set this day. Hey, I got it. We'll let people know. Or, if I'm in Mammoth and Brandon's here in LA and, somebody else is at home sick, we can all still progress the day without missing a beat, because honestly, television has no time for the weary, sick, or tired.
Well, something else that even 5 years ago was a huge pain, but we did an episode last year where there were two Adrians, there were two Kellys, basically. We had to do some compositing.
Astonishing job.
Yeah, but we're not a Marvel movie, and some of this stuff is we have to do some old-fashioned trickery, but literally I took my Avid over there. We plugged our hard drive into the video feedback, the video tap, for lack of a better word. I pulled out some QuickTimes, and I was cutting on set to make sure stuff was actually working in real time. And then also Brandon too, to double check his compositing, was also doing the same thing and literally compositing on set on a laptop, so we could get some real time feedback. It's a little jerry-rigged, but it's trying to do that 5 years ago would have been impossible.
Yeah, and it really brings me to the digital point. Digital has completely revolutionized the process. From a post-production standpoint, you mentioned if people are off sick and everything, you're able to still collaborate through phones and everything. Are you using any kind of telepresence in order to be able to do remote editing and things like that?
Not specifically like remote editing. It's more, you know, we'll use the given, you know, file sharing systems.
Okay.
But, you know, I mean, even just like trying to send something to Seth, like we get it together, we send it to him to his phone so that he can have it in his hand, and if he needs to use it on set for something, like, you know, we'll make sure that what he's using, what he's seeing, is accessible to him also. So I don't know. It's
well, we did a little bit of work with, you know, the system Evercast.
Yeah,
it's a remote editing system. The thing is that because, and I say this with love and with ultimate admiration, Seth is so fast. He literally sees fields. I've said this before. He can hear fields and see fields because of his animation background, and also he's a freaking genius. That the Evercast system had a delay, so we could only use it for more macro-based stuff.
Oh, wow.
You know, so we actually had to do stuff in the room, but we could edit from thousands of miles away using the Evercast system with my Avid basically up on somebody's phone.
Wow.
Incredible.
Same thing with Skype, too. We share screens with Skype.
And we did the same thing for, you know, the scoring sessions.
Yeah.
You know, we would, if somebody was able
Symphony?
to...
Yeah.
But we did have a setup where, you know, if a director or somebody wasn't able to make it, they would be able to, you know, tap into the system and be there and talk back to the, you know, the composer, talk back to everybody that needs to be involved. So yeah, I mean, we have definitely tested a lot of things because we are moving at such a breakneck speed.
Yeah.
But it's also been such like a crazy adventure to be able to say, hey, we can do this. Like, features are doing it. Why can't we?
Why can't we do
features? Like, come on.
I mean, we're basically doing an 11-hour feature this year. And look, in fairness, is, you know, the scoring stage, you can't see where I'm pointing, but it's the lot. The Fox lot is big. It's not the biggest lot, but, you know, that's 6 minutes from getting the scoring stage back to stage 15.
Yeah.
You do that 4 times in a day, you've lost a half hour. A half hour times every week is a quantitative, a large amount of time. So everything adds up.
And as we're gearing up for season 3, I do want to hear more about the turnaround process. We do have to take a really quick break, though. We're speaking with Tom Costantino as well as Brooke Noska. They are from the Orville. And when we get back, just looking at my notes, what we want to cover, we're going to talk about how real-world tech is actually impacting the production of the Orville and the actual on-air stuff. As well, we're going to learn more about season 3 of the Orville and how you can win the actual jar of pickles from the Orville set. Stick around.
Thank you. Thank you for the Twitter feed post.
We're over at the Orville Experience, downtown San Diego.
Come fly with me on the Orville, let's fly away. If you can use some Chilean booze, have a day drink with Ed and Kelly. Come fly the Orville, let's fly away. Once the Orville's up there, where gravity's rarefied, we'll quantum drive. Hey, they have guns for eyes. Once the Orville's up there.
I'm the lady with the Isaac tattoo.
I absolutely love it. It's beautiful.
Then your eyes no today.
Would you rather have Captain Mercer debate the card or a fist fight first?
Season 3 in 2020 on Hulu. Boom.
All right, you can win the actual jar of pickles from the set of Season 2's episode Home of the Orville. It's been personally autographed by the show's executive producer, director, John Cassar, and you can find out how you can get that, how you can participate in that contest. We've got a hot link for you, cat5.tv. Oh, look at what he's got.
Can you
there it
see
is.
us?
We can see you now. Yeah, Cat5.
Is.
I've got it, cat5.tv/pickles. And that will take you. That will take you.
Can I enter?
Yeah. So
I'll put it back on the shelf.
are they or are they not?
Sorry, everybody.
So are they real pickles or are they props?
They're unfortunately real pickles, and while I have a captive audience, please don't eat them and then sue us. Not an official contest.
This is not.
They've been sitting in there for a year.
If you haven't seen the episode yet, Season 2's Home, make sure you check it out and participate in that contest, cat5.tv/pickles. The contest is open until Saturday the 12th, and including that date, is there any interesting tech, Tom or Brooke, that you've seen kicking around the set that that is perhaps consumer gear or stuff that that makers are interested in? I think about, like, do you ever use Arduinos, or do you know anything about what's being used there on the set?
I mean, honestly, iPhones have really come out with a ton of awesome features. Even like the latest, you know, they have basically a quad split feature. So we'll do a lot of previs. We'll actually just take our phones and we'll just, you know, stage out something. We'll edit together into like an iMovie on our phones, send it, and, you know, that's how we kind of do a little bit of visualization of pre-production. But yeah, I mean, I think the most handy consumer product is if you have a phone and it's a smartphone, you can make anything.
You can make anything. I mean, look, even in fairness, some of our door panels are actually they're iPad minis.
Oh,
that
yeah.
we actually interact with live. It's a little program that lights up. Now, sometimes we'll enhance with VFX, but we have been known to sneak an iPad or an iPad mini or a phone into a prop and let it just do its thing with some graphics. So
I'd love to see that added to the App Store. That would be fantastic.
Yes. I'm sure we can work that out for you.
Now, this being your job, I mean, it's really, really easy for us going to work every day, and you guys work long hours, to look at the stuff that comes in and we're thinking again about the tech that is really exceptional, but it's easy to just kind of, oh, it's old hat because you deal with it every single day. But is there anything that through the course of the first 2 seasons of the show, or even now as you're gearing up to shoot Season 3, is there any gear that has just made you go, like, wow, like, this is mind-bending that I am a part of this because of this technology? No saying iPhone.
No.
I mean, we have some secret stuff in production that we can't wait to show you and tell you guys about. But I mean, yeah, I think it's really just, you know, all the different apps and tools that you can use on an Apple product is like unbelievable.
She went there.
Other than that, we have some pretty cool cameras.
Yeah,
yes.
we do have. I mean, I'm not going to say, but there is a revolutionary proprietary thing that's going to help us. You know, invented by people here, hopefully patented. I believe it's patented. Working on a patent that's gonna revolutionize how we shoot some of the more complex scenes. I don't want to say anything more about it, literally NDA bending, but there, you know, if we do this again in a year, we'll bring on those people and let them talk about it. But because we're moving so fast, to have the ability to sort of, for lack of a better word, live, you know, just be able to do things more organically is pretty wild. But you know, we use drones for all the time for a lot of our you know, we haven't shot a single wide master shot that hasn't been used with a drone. I'm trying to think what other toys we have. I mean, a lot of our, see, we're different, is a lot of our toys come from Brooks Magic. So it's, you know, we have a huge set over there that of course is also right now all NDA because of what's going on, but a lot of our sets are large and real. So, you know, we're kind of old school Hollywood in some of that, in that way.
Yeah. The Foo in the chat is wondering if you have anything that uses Linux that helps you with your production chain.
Linux? Do we do Linux?
It sounds familiar, but I am not a Linux expert.
That's cool.
No.
So that's a question. Hey, think about the fact that our community would love to know that. So if you ever hear about that, then just know, hey, ping Robbie at Category 5 because we'd love to let our viewers know.
Okay. No, I mean we're pretty much Mac based here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Mac. I'm not that I'm not. I don't get a check for saying Mac, but we're a Mac family.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this logo running behind me is running off my Avid off of a Mac Avid. So yeah, it's how we go.
Yeah, it's good to have everything kind of all interconnected as well. Thinking back to how things were shot 20 years ago, and thinking about how models were used in particular.
Yes.
Are you folks still using models, even though Brooke and her team are like doing some incredible stuff with VFX?
It's always, it's kind of like the homage, the homage.
It's French for cheese.
Tomato, purple. We shot the model the first season, and then as we have grown, we've kind of put a couple extra scrapes and dents into that sexy model, but we didn't want to put it into the actual model, so we've taken those mocap information and we've updated the actual model so that it blends in with that season, so it's not like, oh wait, this is from that season, but we just couldn't, we loved it so much we didn't want to replace the ship, so we still use the technique as if it was model shooting, but it is a lot of digital. Right, and you're talking mocap, aka motion capture, so you're bringing an actual physical model into a virtual world. Is that the idea? Yes. So the whole paradigm of how to shoot these has been flipped on its head.
Yeah,
like I remember the old cranes, the old cranes that had to go into it. So how are you shooting it? Like, are you putting it on a stage and just taking shots, or? Yeah, they did that for the first season. They did all kinds of up downs through the model, and then we put that data into our nuke scripts or anything and tracked on and put the stars in the background or whatever planets and stuff, just so that it had that real camera feel, so that you felt like that camera is in space and it's looking at that ship. And then as we progressed through season 2 and season 3, we've kind of lost the actually shoot it on set, but we haven't lost the feel and the technique of actually like, okay, so we're going over, under, around the ship. Yeah.
We still want to feel like
real camera
that
moves.
Ship is in space and you guys just happen to be on the fly that's checking it out. Like,
we really try not to do anything that a real live camera couldn't capture in some way, even if it's somebody in a fake spaceship following along with our real spaceship. Yeah, because that's the minute you lose all sense of reality. But there's no way in hell that this baby behind us, we could put it through those kind of contortions and or some of the more stuff. We've gotten more ambitious and more complicated in our sequences. So we'd literally break the model. I'm not even being figurative. We'd literally break the model.
Yeah, and
the digital model does have a real world scale. So it is hundreds of feet wide, high. So we do have those dimensions. So when it is flying in battle, we're not, it's not like a feather in space. Like we're actually like, okay, this thing is, 80 million tons. How would it actually go through space?
Yeah.
Like, how does that kind of work? Obviously, like, there's not real fire in space. My NASA friends would tell me that stuff's not real, but we are still trying to make it feel and, have it depict what it might look like as far as we know what that kind of stuff looks like now.
I know we're working in tight quarters tonight. How much work would it be for you to show us the model, Tom?
If you don't mind us moving this wonderful tripod against the coffee cup, it's real easy.
So here we are in Tom's office at the Fox lot.
Here's the thing: I had it. And you can thank. I know. Sorry.
We're gonna have to censor that, Tom.
Family friendly, Tom.
All right. You know what? Actually, Brooke, to help me lift it up here. Do you want to?
Hang my butt on this thing.
Yeah. Sorry. We're gonna lift. We gotta lift straight up. No. I'm just gonna lift it here. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! There it is.
Top of the lid.
Let's put it over here.
We also have a great gym here at Fox.
All right, so I'm just gonna.
Okay, so This is the model, folks, that that they used at the Orville.
I can flop the camera around, can't I? It's not doing that. Hold on. There we go. There we go. I
Maybe because we're live.
There you go.
Here we go.
Oh my goodness!
So this is the actual model, folks, that was used to shoot those.
$400,000 worth of fun, kids.
Wow,
that's awesome. Now, what is it made of?
It's made of resin.
Hopes, dreams, and tears.
No, it's a resin. It was partially 3D printed. I'm supposed to be touching it with the gloves, so I'm going to do that here. But a lot of it is old. There's a little kit bashing going on here, for those who know that term.
Yeah, get us in there, Tom. I want to see details. I want to see details that we'd never see before. Look at that. So
you see?
Yeah.
Is it clear? Is it focused? It's a little hard for me to see.
Pretty good, pretty good. So,
but there's some amazing detail on this. Now, granted, we're making the model way more detailed. As the digital model gets more and more. Sorry.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of foam here. We're seeing a lot of foam.
Wide-angle iPhone, my iPhone 11, not making things easy.
Use one of the other 3 cameras.
Yeah, right.
So is this the model you said that has been dinged and broken, and like where are those brakes? Because this looks perfect, looks pristine.
No, the digital model.
Oh, gotcha.
So there is, but I will show you something since you guys are very. So see this right here?
Yes.
Okay, so because it is 3D printed and because it's a very sensitive thing and it's been on display before. So this over here, there's actually it's bent a little bit. So we keep it in a very special case here to keep it supported. Yeah. And obviously we can glue this back down and hold it, but it's an aerodynamic shape, and it's gonna deteriorate. So we try and keep it pristine as much as possible now, because it's more of an artifact of the show than an actual working model.
Right.
Right.
But there's amazing, was the guy? I think it was the guys at ILM that did this for us. I forget. It was
just beautiful work.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
For us crazy model people. I mean, I've posted photos of it before.
Yeah, we're getting some close-ups here, though, we've never seen. This is fantastic.
I'd love to show you the bottom, but the light, obviously you have the working quantum rings and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's probably hard to see, but there's actually, so much for my great filming, but there's a, sorry, I apologize. There's a, if you can see, let me get in there. Hold on, sorry. Hang on one sec.
Yeah, it's all good. It's worth it.
Hang on.
It's very
live television.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun? Okay.
And just another example of what we couldn't do.
The shuttle bay?
Oh, that's so
Nice.
cool.
Do we need a light with the other phone? Hang on. So this is actually, there we go. Thanks, Brooke. So if you can look here, I'll let you hold the phone and not. All right. So this is, if you knew how complicated this was, okay, now you get a better look at it, right?
Wow.
See, there's actually a little shuttle in there, which is hard to see, but
lower the camera a bit for us.
Degree, so.
Lower the camera a bit for us. We weren't quite seeing it. If we can just see right into the shuttle bay.
So I am contorting here to get down into the box. Yes. Can you see it?
No, I see a lot of foam.
We're underneath the ship now.
Yeah, we're under it.
They're over here. Look here.
Okay. Sorry, no.
There, stop. Oh,
wow.
It's filled with foam. But it's beautiful, Tom.
They put the foam, but see the same painting down here. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same markings as our actual real live stage. So
yeah, just gorgeous.
Yeah, the foam is put in there recently just to protect. We can pull that out, but I kind of don't want to mess with it because I like the guys from the actual model company to mess with it. So
yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
There she is.
Oh, thank you for showing us.
I have a question about
scale. That's it.
Yeah,
it's about 4 feet.
That's awesome. Now I have a question about the design of the ship.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when my wife and I have watched the show, we wondered why the 3 fins at the back. Was that anything in particular, or was that just for a cool design?
I think it was partially cool design, but also, Andre Bormanis, he's our resident tech supervisor, and he, a lot of this stuff is based in scientific fact. So, come back in there, so the quantum rings and quantum energy, all this is based in future scientific concepts. So I don't know if the 3-ring aspect was strictly for fashion or design, but the whole idea of the quantum energy is based in real science.
Okay, because I think one of the episodes when, I believe it was the replacement for Alara, when the new security officer was transitioning, the ship that was beside had only 2 rings. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, we do. It's a little bit of license You know, like that's what I'm saying is that the 3 rings, it's really more just because it kind of looked, for lack of a better word, TV sexy.
Fair enough. I just didn't know if it was related to like exploratory vessel versus science vessel or something like that.
Yeah, so the different shapes and rings, they kind of represent the different Union classes that we have. So we have a Leviathan class, we have a science class, we have the cruiser class. So they all have a different look feel, but you kind of want them all to look like something of the Union or of the show, so that we can kind of make sure that when you're in a bajillion ship explosion battle, you know who the good guys are and who's not.
Makes sense.
Brooke and Tom, Michael Okuda tweeted earlier this week and said, Star Trek The Next Generation hadn't yet found its legs in Season 1 and 2. Now, you just finished Season 2. You're about to start shooting Season 3. Do you feel that you've found your legs?
I would never want to be so egotistical as to be the person to say that. I felt like that the show had found itself in Season 1. I think it started with About a Girl and then into Priya, and then started really hitting its stride through Into the Fold, which is when Isaac and Claire started the early part of their relationship. I think the second half of Season 2, we've definitely moved into where I think Seth wanted to be, which is more of a dramedy. I think there's more to come. I think the beauty of Seth and the way he works is that he's kind of a showman, and he believes that he's in the old Hollywood model. Like you work on it and it evolves. Like the pilot of Seinfeld versus the Gestalt of Seinfeld. So I'm not comparing us to Seinfeld, but I'm saying is that we're always trying to better ourselves. So
I think we're more like a tadpole. Like we were this cute little one flippered guy, and then we got some legs.
We got some legs.
And a flipper, and now we're like full bore toad.
Yeah.
And one day we're gonna find our prince, and we're just gonna be the sexiest show you guys ever seen.
Well, that's what we're hoping in Season 3.
Well, listen, I fell in love with the show in Season 1, but it really started to feel in Season 2 when the Kalon attacked, that this was not just what we were all expecting, which was like Seth's vision of that like dramedy outer space show, but it really felt like a genuine sci-fi. For our viewers at home, I want to take a look at that clip.
Due to a YouTube copyright claim, we are unable to play this clip here. However, the official The Orville YouTube channel features the clip. Please follow the link in the description to see the clip.
I feel like viewers weren't sure when the show first started what to expect from Seth's sci-fi show, and some of us were wondering, like, is it going to be just a space comedy or a spoof? We were hearing spoof a lot, and then it really did evolve into this genuine sci-fi show. Was there a point along the way that you folks realized internally that, hey, this is really a genuine, serious sci-fi?
Well, in fairness, we had access to most of the scripts in Season 1.
Yeah.
So we knew where it was going.
Okay.
And, and this is not a knock on Fox or anything, but I think everyone, including Seth, and I'm theorizing here for what little we talked about, is that for him to come out and be taken seriously as a sci-fi vet, I think even he was probably nervous about it. It's like, so he had to sort of sea change the audience to get used to him to being able to tell more serious stories. Man's always had it in him. Everything is, this is his vision. This is his baby. But I think a lot of people worried, like, well, it has to be Family Guy in space or they're not going to accept it.
Yeah.
So probably lean too hard in that direction in terms of promotion and things like that. But like, I always knew that when the pilot was around, About a Girl was already, most of our first season was already shot. Same thing with Season 2 when Brooke came along. Like, we know where it's going.
Yeah.
And that also helps us inform how we edit, VFX, post, shoot the whole season. We know how it ends.
Right.
So the most frustrating part is waiting, 3 months, 6 months, 10 years, whenever long the hell we get this next season out, for the fans to see it. Because sometimes they'll ask a question, and we're like, "Yeah, just want to tell you the answer."
Yeah,
but we can't.
I know the answer. Yeah, and I'll be honest. I personally, when I first started watching the Orville, had a real problem not envisioning Brian as Ed Mercer, but just because it's Seth, right? So Brian the dog from Family Guy, and so I stuck it out, and it was around episode 5 that I really realized that, hey, this is like the genuine article. This is great, and now I can't get enough of it.
Well, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but the boss man can act. He doesn't like when I say it, but I got to stare at him all day. He's actually got chops, and he is not Brian. But it's in him. I mean, it's part of him, but he's if you saw the loudest voice and some other things, then he's got skills and depth and range. So
for sure,
it just he needed some screen time for people to know that.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Well, I think the approach has been fantastic, and it's certainly worked out well.
Oh yeah.
And absolutely, such a talented guy. When you came in tonight, we were listening to Seth MacFarlane on our Amazon Echo. I'd encourage you to try it. Just say "Shuffle Songs" by Seth MacFarlane and see what it comes out with. Now, one of the comments that I spotted on Twitter as well, just kind of as we're wrapping up, I know your time is valuable tonight, and I really appreciate you taking this time.
We're good. Don't worry, we're good.
All right. Thanks, Tom. John Cassar, he said the other day on Twitter, this is executive producer, director of the Orville, he said, the audience gets to tell the broadcasters, cable networks, and streaming services what they want by the way they spend their entertainment dollar. So, Tom, it raises the question, how can we as fans of the Orville tell the networks what we want, and that's more of the Orville? What is that entertainment dollar in today's modern landscape?
Well, I'm trying to, because I want to answer this properly. How do you tell us how to spend? You mean how do we get that message across?
Well, from John's perspective, there is no free TV. We're telling the networks through our spending how what they should be investing in.
There is no free TV. If the God in the days of the antenna, you are paying for Charter, you're paying for Hulu Live, you're paying for YouTube Live. In this skinny bundling era, people do speak with their wallets by tuning into a show, and it's not even just viewership. It's online activity. It's fandom. It's conventions. It's also at least in our case. So it's being active and passionate is a way to let people know that you're into or not into a product, for lack of a better word. I think that's kind of what he was saying.
Yeah,
I think because a lot of people have been saying is, oh, we were on free TV, but we really technically weren't. We were just, we're another pay service, but no TV is free anymore. And they kind of snuck that in under the wire that we all got to pay for the free TV we were supposed to get free news. That Edward Murrow, if you hear that sound, it's Edward Murrow turning in his grave right now about where television has gone. But so everything costs money.
When we tune in, is that voting for the Orville?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when we were on Fox and we were broadcast, we still track the viewer numbers, and that definitely if we have very high numbers and very high interaction where people are watching it from start to finish, or at least most of it, that tells the networks who put the money out for us to make content, hey, we got to spend money on this because everybody's tuning in for this. It also helps because I think we were on Fox, we were around football, we were on the sports and stuff. So we were like, well, if we can get those people to grab on, it's all about placement. It's all about where you're putting everything, where the viewers are at, what time of the day they're at, what day of the week they're at. All of this is in those very meticulous data sheets.
Yeah, it's a complicated.
Everybody's looking at it, but with streaming, the Game of Thrones did the best, where they were on HBO, and HBO was like, "This is basically paying for our reason to exist with this app." Is because people can watch it. They don't have to buy the HBO, cable bundle, they can just buy their 6 months on however many emails they put on there for free, and they're now like, yeah, we have to have this because people are tuning in, they're looking at it. So I'm not 100% sure what the question was, but I think what he's trying to say is that by you guys telling us what you want, what you need, like you guys wanted more Orville. We're on Hulu now. We're going to give you more Orville. If you guys want less Orville, we would have got canceled. We will have vacation, but
So we want more Orville, and you talk about Hulu.
You mind if I add something?
Please.
So, here's the thing about the television business and actually the film business in general is that because of the way things are now, it's not just live and even live +3 ratings. There's so many other factors that come into a show's or a franchise's existence, and it's changing so fast that even the people that are making it can't always keep up with it. And in terms of technology, in terms of where it's being sold, international markets, marketing in terms of like toys or theme park. I mean, it's such a. I mean, basically, this is the science of making a TV show now.
Yeah.
And we're, because we're not, My Dinner with Andre, we're one of those shows. So the math behind it, it's fun. I love interacting with people, and they have theories about why the show moved here, or moved there, or did this, but usually the answer is way more mathematical and way more mundane than anyone ever hopes, which is not that exciting, but it's the business of what we do.
So, thinking about Hulu and the change there, what is going to change for the viewers as far as I don't mean hey, now maybe I need to subscribe to a different service or something like that, but what are the changes that are happening at the Orville and with the show?
We're bigger.
Bigger, better, stronger, faster?
Yeah. I mean,
we're greener.
Look, Seth has said this, and we said it, not having time restriction helps, because in the story is as long as people want it to be. And that was a big thing. When you cut a story perfectly, luckily, and this is no different to Fox, they've been amazing to us, but, and they were able to even give us, for 1 year, give us the 48:10 runtime. Right, but the standard Fox network show is 40/40. I'm saying this because I'm the editor. I know how we do it. 911 has to cram, and they kill themselves up there. They're literally upstairs from us. They have to jam a lot of story into 43:40. Yeah. Now imagine you've been killing yourself. You're spending millions of dollars to do this show, and then you have to cut 17 seconds out just to make this arbitrary time marker. And that 17 seconds could be that one look from that one character that totally changes the tone of a show.
Yeah.
And now we got to cut it out so they can do a commercial. It's an old way of doing things, and it puts storytelling at a disadvantage. I'm not saying it has to go, just roll ad infinitum, and then it's just like you're watching a bunch of dailies that go on forever. But having the freedom to tell the story you want to tell in the time you want to tell it is really big to creatives.
Well, it sounds like it sounds like a huge benefit to fans of the show and to the team creating it as well, all around.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we're kind of taking off of again the Game of Thrones HBO model is none of those stories would have been told in 45 minutes. You would have to tune in, for weeks, months, and just try to figure out, how to tell those stories. So, we want to be that cool. We want to be that big. We want to, we want to spend that much money. So, you guys want it to be this great, sci-fi show, and so do we. So, what's the best option to do that? Go where the champions are at on streaming with, less restrictions, a little extra cash, and
I'll give you. You want me to give you a specific example? Because we've been pretty good, and thank you to Seth for allowing me and us to put out deleted scenes and things. You want me to give you a specific example of an episode that got banged into it?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, so remember Sanctuary, the Jonathan Frakes episode. That was a massive episode. Okay, there was some dialogue in the with F. Murray Abraham in the big, my brain's not working, the big chamber, the Planetary Union chamber, that gave some nuances to the script that had to get cut, because even though because you could live without them, you know, but it's the little details and a couple of jokes here and there that kind of like flesh it out and give it like texture and layers. There was a fight that we were going to originally put online, but it needed some VFX work where, you know, Bortus, you know, he's enraged. One of the mock soldiers grabs one of the kids in the colony, right? Do you remember that at all?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not now the way it plays is that he chases him through the forest and knocks him out with the butt of his gun, right?
Right. That's what we saw.
There's a whole sitting on my Avid right here. There's a whole 2-minute knockdown drag out fight between him and that guy. That's awesome.
Really?
That we would just love to have. But
so how are the VFX coming on that?
Well, somebody got to pay for that. So it's like some things are just left in the machine.
Yeah.
But we won't have to make those choices this year. And maybe someday if we have time or Brooks somehow can cajole someone into getting it done, we'll get it out there. But it's, you know, it's those painful choices that we don't necessarily have to make anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is the plan to release all the episodes at once for the next season, or are you phasing them out? And how does that?
No, we're gonna do weekly. We're not gonna destroy everyone's life by suddenly dropping it at once.
There you go. Okay. Just backing up just for a real quick sec, when Tom was talking about the toys and the merchandising.
Yes.
You had a question.
Yeah, so in our chat room on Discord, one of the questions is, when are we going to see more Orville merchandising? Like, when is it going to be everywhere? Like Orville Lego?
It's literally coming. You know, I'm not the marketing guy. Where I do work with some of the marketing people, and like, in fairness, you know, we're not there's a term for it that they call it's like a shell. It's like a line at Walmart or they have like a colloquial term for it. But you know, we're a little more niche. But there is things coming, as you know. The Eagle Moss stuff is coming. We got Corbin Effects doing stuff.
Yeah.
There's going to be toys and gadgets and fun that you can buy.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think that speaks again to like, you guys tell us what you want.
Yeah.
You guys were like, we want phasers, blazers, and freaking ships. Like, now we're like, all right, we need to try to make it. We have we have really cool trading cards. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, we have all kinds of stuff, and even the fans have made really cool stuff that we're like, oh man, like we need to do that too.
Yeah, I have some of this in my office, but a lot of this is going to roll out between now and the premiere, and you know, it's
awesome.
It's in production now.
Okay.
So there is stuff coming, but it's never. I'm telling you now, there's not a world right now unless, you know, suddenly we get Marvel size where we're going to have Kenner figures made of everybody. It's just that's a very specific model of some very large franchises, and yeah, maybe someday we'll get there, but that takes a little bit of history and time. I'm not saying I'm not opposed to it. I would love it, but it takes time to build up to that level.
I would love to throw some money at die-cast models of ships.
Yes.
Johnny A. Reed.
I mean, that's Eagle Moss, and our friends at Corbin are coming out with ships as well. So you're going to be able to play with little Orvilles at some point.
Johnny A. Reed is hoping to see some krill, maybe some action figures would be pretty cool. Pew 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 pew.
Johnny can just freaking DM me and ask for that stuff. He doesn't bother me. Hi,
Squeeze your hand as tight as possible, really flex that forearm. 8 inches.
I knew it was 8.
Now, we're just about out of time, and I love that you have both taken the time with us this week, and we here at the studio appreciate it. I know we, the Orville fandom, really appreciate you taking the time as well. Can you tell us real briefly about what is happening with season 3 as far as, like, when are you shooting? When can we expect episodes? Is there anything fun that's coming that we maybe don't yet know about?
I mean, I think a lot of it was revealed at Comic-Con, which was exciting, is that, you know, everybody's so excited for, you know, bigger, better. Maybe somebody will listen to the pitch about a musical episode.
Yeah.
And longer episodes, which is key here.
No, well, this is not newsflash. We shoot we're shooting about a week and a half, so we're in the trench now.
And how long do you have to shoot? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, well, I can't really say it. Let me put it this way. We have taken the network model and put it aside. So we're shooting the appropriate amount of days to get these things done.
Okay. So do you shoot the whole?
It's not battle. It's not. I know it's not Battle of the Bastards, but we're not gonna try and cram.
Not 11 months at night.
Yeah, we're not gonna cram things into 8 days.
Yeah. Okay. So do you shoot the whole season and then it's in your hands, your team's hands, to actually put it all together?
I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that we're always multitasking.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're doing, you know, prep stuff so that we can shoot it faster. But, you know, again, maybe we'll have a better idea in 6 months and we'll go back and try again. You know, we kind of break the mold of, like, the formula of, like, shoot everything and think about it later. Like, you know, something could happen with our friends over at NASA where they, you know, get even better pictures of the black hole, and we're like, we gotta do this. Like, so, you know, our pride and joy is to be as up to date as possible, but also be able to multitask so that we can get through as much as we can, because it is such a huge show, and so that we can give it the proper time that it needs to look great.
Yeah.
But also be able to, you know, throw in those really snazzy things that come along the way. So
we'll also, like, we'll start. I mean, the VFX is up and running now. I mean, we shoot on the, you know, let's say the 21st.
Yeah.
Well, cutting will be happening on the 22nd. So there's already pre-cutting. It's you know, it's the only way to get. I mean, you know, the TV and film have started to blend. But the schedules have not matched. So you know, we're not quite feature level, but we're trying, and you know, we're effectively shooting 4.5 Marvel movies in the time that we have. You know what I mean? So it's 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 a lot of pressure and a lot of intensity.
And it's impossible. It really makes it impossible for you to say, okay, we're going to be ready on this date. But do you have some kind of inkling when your fans will be able to watch season 3?
In discussion.
In discussion.
Hang on, guys.
Hang on.
I love you.
Honestly, it's above our pay grade, and also there's just, you know, we're still figuring some stuff out. But
we would love to know too.
We would love to know too. No, as soon as damn possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, I'm really good at stickle sticks. We'll just like boop, 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 boop.
It's pretty soon it's gonna be me and Brooke drawing stuff like once a week.
And you're
just putting it online.
You're just surrounded. You yourselves and your teams are just perfectionists, and so I expect that what we're going to see is going to be absolutely amazing.
We're not TV by committee here, so it does take some more time to get stuff done. I mean, this is Seth, and I mean that as the biggest compliment ever. He's involved in the process in a lot of ways, so it takes a little extra time, but the care shows on screen, and we're totally cool with it.
Yeah, sure does.
So.
Love it.
We waited 2 years for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, we're not Game of Thrones.
We don't have free dragons.
Yeah, we'll
pretty cool.
That's already made
we gotta make.
You already made the coffee cup joke.
I'm just real obsessed.
Well, Brooke Noska and Tom Costantino, thank you so much for joining us from backstage behind the scenes at the Orville. We appreciate your time so much.
Thank you.
Of course.
Love it.
Take care. We have to head over to the newsroom. Sasha, if you're ready.
I sure am. Here are the stories we're covering this week in the Category 5.tv newsroom. PayPal has dropped out of the alliance that is trying to launch Facebook's digital currency, Libra. A man has been able to move all 4 of his paralyzed limbs with a mind-controlled exoskeleton suit. No, we're not early to the April Fool's jokes of 2020. Microsoft is really making a new mobile phone that has 2 screens and runs Android. And Canada's busiest airport will soon be using artificial intelligence-powered technology to detect weapons. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Category 5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
I'm Sasha Rickman, and here are the top stories we're following this week. PayPal has dropped out of the alliance that is trying to launch Facebook's digital currency Libra. PayPal made the announcement in a statement on Friday, but did not specify what had prompted the decision. Libra and its digital wallet Calibra were revealed by Facebook in June. But the cryptocurrency has been criticized by regulators, and both France and Germany have pledged to block it from Europe. PayPal said it remains supportive of Libra's aspirations, but had chosen to focus on its own core businesses. The firm was one of the original members of the Libra Association, a group of 28 companies and nonprofits helping to develop Libra. Its other members include payments company Visa, ride-hailing app Uber, and humanitarian charity Mercy Corps. In response to PayPal's withdrawal, Libra Association said that it was aware that attempts to reconfigure the financial system would be hard. Quote, "Commitment to that mission is more important to us than anything else," it said in a statement. "We're better off knowing about this lack of commitment now," end quote. At its unveiling this year, Facebook said that people would be able to make payments with the currency via its own apps as well as on messaging service WhatsApp. Partner firms would also be able to accept Libra for transactions. Facebook said Libra would be independently managed and backed by real assets, and that paying with it would be as easy as texting. The group of 7 advanced economies warned in July that it would not let Libra proceed until all regulatory concerns had been addressed. Central bank chiefs, including the UK's Mark Carney, have also voiced skepticism, and US President Donald Trump has tweeted that he's not a fan of the currency. The Libra Association will hold its first meeting of its governing body, the Libra Council, on the 14th of October. The group said in a tweet that it planned to share updates soon afterwards about, quote, 1,500 entities that have indicated enthusiastic interest to participate, end quote.
How interesting.
This is an interesting story because I was just reading today that some of the American politicians are telling Visa, if you stay involved, this is going to be highly scrutinized.
Oh.
Sure.
So do you want to continue? And so there's a lot of scrutiny over Libra. And I mean, I know I've said in the past, like, I think this is not a great idea simply because of the issues Facebook has had. So you get them attached to it, and it's going to immediately open the door to privacy concerns. Or how is it going to be used? And I know it's not just Facebook, but I think that plays as an undercurrent of fear. If it wasn't Facebook involved, would people be more open to it? And that's the big thing. Like,
cryptocurrency backed by so many companies in general, I think is like governments would be hesitant because they lose the control over their own economy.
That's true.
And that means they lose the control over fair trade and other, you know, like what would a government do if suddenly they lost all control of the currency?
Well, yeah, for sure.
That's
I mean, if you figure, you know, you've got trading on the actual stock market of currency, and if suddenly there's a run on, you know, American currency, say, and people are like, you know, I want to invest in Libra instead, and nationalities are then going with the cryptocurrency, like the U.S. dollar crashes, that impacts the whole economy.
Yeah.
So there's a whole reason for wanting to keep things from a monetary standpoint stable.
Right.
You know, so I do get it. I do get the concern.
It's funny because I would think personally, because of Facebook's issues, I would have less confidence. But then knowing that Visa is partnered, then that brings up the confidence. It's like Visa has this. I have this comfort in the security of Visa. So I'm like,
They've
okay, well,
branded themselves well, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have.
They're really
have.
just all about the interest.
But what's interesting to me is that I think that because it's Facebook and so many people who aren't as well educated in the privacy issues, they probably are excited about it because it's Facebook, right?
Oh, perhaps, yeah.
So,
this is going to be integrated into WhatsApp.
Right.
So, hey, that's a great feature, right? So, yeah, there's definitely that too. I think it's just the natural evolution of, like, this is a technology that now exists. Now, obviously, Libra doesn't. We don't yet know, like, we understand that they're going to be using real commodities in order to stabilize the currency.
Right.
But how can a cryptocurrency be stable? That's what I'm waiting to find out.
Right. And is there going to be no mining of the currency? Like, and if that's the case, how
do you
you have to acquire it by purchasing it,
right,
with real dollars,
just like regular currency, which is like you're doing the exchange. When I have US dollars, I've purchased US dollars from here in Canada. So we'll see. And does PayPal bailing out, does that really represent any impact on Libra, or is it just going to carry on and PayPal's just not going to be a part of it, because they're really kind of a competing product, and cryptocurrency doesn't really fall into what they've really established themselves as, which is a fiat-based currency bank, basically, like a digital bank.
And truly, like, time will tell. In 5 years, PayPal is either going to be kicking themselves for getting out, or they're going to be high-fiving each other for getting out. Like, we don't know, right?
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah.
And we'll be here to report on it, folks.
That's right.
That we will.
For season 18.
Unfortunately, our teleprompter has stopped working, but luckily I have the news stories loaded on my laptop, so if you'll excuse me, I'll be looking down to read the news. A man has been able to move all 4 of his paralyzed limbs with a mind-controlled exoskeleton suit. Tybolt, who does not want his surname revealed, was an optician before he fell 15 meters in an incident at a nightclub 4 years ago. He says taking his first steps in an experimental exoskeleton suit felt like being the first man on the moon. His movements, particularly walking, are far from perfect, and the robo-suit is being used in only the lab. But researchers say the approach could one day improve patients' quality of life. Tybolt had surgery to place 2 implants on the surface of the brain, covering the parts of the brain that control movement. 64 electrodes on each of the implants read the brain activity and beam the instructions to a nearby computer. Sophisticated computer software then reads the brain waves and turns them into instructions for controlling the exoskeleton. The injury to his spinal cord left him paralyzed, and he spent the next 2 years in hospital. But in 2017, he took part in the exoskeleton trial with Clinitech and the University of Grenoble. Initially, he practiced using the brain implants to control a virtual character or avatar in a computer game. And then he moved on to walking in the suit. After 2 years of not walking, he says he'd actually forgotten how to walk and even lost the perception that he was taller than a lot of people in the room. While he quickly took to controlling the exoskeleton's ability to walk, it took a lot longer to learn how to control the arms. He says, quote, "It was very difficult because it is a combination of multiple muscles and movements. This is the most impressive thing that I do with the exoskeleton," end quote. Tybolt does need to be attached to a ceiling harness in order to minimize the risk of him falling over in the exoskeleton. It means the device is not yet ready to move outside the laboratory. There are also plans to develop finger control to allow Tybolt to pick up and move objects. But the researchers have to be careful how much data they transmit from the brain to the computer. They have 350 milliseconds to go from thought to movement, otherwise the system becomes difficult to control. There is the future potential to read the brain in more detail using more powerful computers and AI to interpret the information from the brain. And the team responsible are keen to continue developing the technology. Using the sensors, Tybolt has also used the implant to control a wheelchair. According to the researchers, their motivation is entirely medical in providing mobility to patients who otherwise would be unable to move.
That is incredible.
I know.
So, like, let's get this straight. He has, like, sensors in his brain, on the surface of his brain, that are reading his thoughts to control movement.
Right.
incredible.
What's impressive about that is the fact that they've been able to
everything.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things, but the fact that they've been able to isolate the electrical impulses in the brain that signify those specific movements.
Yeah.
Like that in and of itself is phenomenal.
Or is he training his brain to create new ones?
Right. Maybe,
to control those, right? I love that they have the avatar first for him to like train on and build confidence with, because I can't imagine like controlling a machine with my mind, but having my body then at risk, right, at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to have that level of confidence in the situation.
It is interesting, though, that it can't be done on board. And maybe it's just the amount of computing power that's required. You can't build that into the suit.
Well, I'm sure that can be done inevitably through technologies, like where technology is at. Look at single board computers that have like NPUs on them, neural processing units, that can process data at teraflops, and they fit like in your pocket. So it could be done. It's just maybe they got to start. Yeah, you got to start when you're prototyping. It's always bigger and
of course,
and certainly the safety harness of being strapped to the ceiling makes sense.
Yes,
because like you say, you can't imagine what would happen if like he made the wrong thought and it collapsed on him or something.
It's interesting though, because I'm like very safety minded in this thought, and I think it would be really good if they implemented this for wheelchairs first.
Just by default,
like,
it works.
Right?
And that seems so much more simple than this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe wheelchairs and maybe transfer devices,
and cars.
right?
Cars.
And
yeah.
No.
What is cool about this, though, I mean, and you're talking about putting it maybe in wheelchairs, but I'm thinking all the people that have prosthetic limbs, you know, to be able to take this technology and go, hey, you know what? So you're missing a part of your arm and a hand. We now have a prosthetic limb. Here's this little implant. You can now control that arm.
Oh,
like the fact that
we're
you can
getting
get
there.
Like
Oh, yeah.
that excites me, because you think of the limitations that some people have to deal with. It's like, okay, well, I can't do that. This opens up a whole new world.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Like, I am so excited about this project and what it means for giving life back to people who are hampered in some way or another. It's great.
Cool.
This is a total good news story.
And it's not just about that mobility, but just reading, like you say, the wheelchair is not moving the body parts. It's moving like a motorized wheelchair.
Right.
So like the communication can be with a device. It can be with controlling other devices. Who knows what they can come up with.
Who knows exactly. This is, the world is your oyster when it comes to...
Thoughts, ideas, comment below.
I am wondering, from a security standpoint, like I'm suddenly thinking about the fact that it's transmitting to a computer. Could this open up the door to somebody hacking that, so to speak, and taking control of the suit by sending...
Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
But I mean...
Yeah,
like,
all of a sudden your big brother's in there.
Yeah, but I would hope that in something like this, it's not just about the mobility and what they could do, but they're also building in some security protocols for that kind of stuff. I mean, that wasn't covered in the story, but I hope that's the case.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, I mean, if this gets to the point of being standalone use, it could have an impact.
We'll see what happens over the next several years with this technology, with the research that they're putting into it as well.
So cool.
Now we've got to take a quick break. The Crypto Report and more of this week's top tech stories are coming up. Don't go anywhere. In what serves to confirm we are currently living in the end times, Microsoft has made a new mobile phone that has 2 screens and runs Android. It would appear Microsoft itself is learning that if at first you don't succeed, there's always Linux. They've announced a forthcoming Android Surface Phone Duo at their annual hardware event, among other dual-screen Qualcomm and AMD powered goodies. There is a huge catch. You'll have to wait until Christmas 2020 if you want one of your own. Unlike the Samsung Galaxy Fold, Microsoft's attempt at a folding fondle slab, is quite clearly 2 screens with a chunky 360-degree hinge in the middle, allowing displays to be positioned however you want, as a small tablet, as a closed-up device, half open as a book, or fully open as a large flat tablet. Those touchscreens are each 5.6-inch units, making an 8.3-inch display when opened up fully. While the separate screens will be scoffed at by owners of Samsung and Huawei's forthcoming foldable devices, which use one large continuous bendable display, the Surface monitors should at least be more durable than the disastrous first attempts by Samsung. Surface enthusiast-in-chief Panos Panay says the company is, quote, partnering with Google to bring the best of Android, end quote. This comes after Microsoft extracted billions of dollars in patent royalty payments out of Android makers until recently and is about to finally bring down the axe on one of its family of mobile Windows operating systems. And this is Android powered by Linux, the open source kernel that Redmond now apparently loves after earlier declaring it a cancer. Quite a turnaround. Linux kernel creator Linus Torvalds said back in 1998, quote, if Microsoft ever does applications for Linux, it means I've won. Well, Linus, you've won.
That is awesome.
That's exciting.
I mean, well done, Linux.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Yes, for the win.
Well, it starts to feel like, okay, it was always Windows versus, and Linux was made out to sound like, oh, only hackers use that.
Yeah.
Well, and Linux, Android is based on Linux, so it's basically powered by Linux. A lot of devices are that you don't even realize, your routers and things like that, your phone, your tablets, they're all Linux-based, but Microsoft wanted to have Windows-based tablets. Now, to be doing Android is pretty cool.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Change it up.
Canada's busiest airport will soon be using artificial intelligence-powered technology to detect weapons. The operator of Toronto's Pearson International Airport says that it has agreed to test the new system developed at an Ivy League American university and marketed by a BC company. Vancouver-based Liberty Defense Holdings Limited says the technology, known as HexWave, can detect both metallic and non-metallic weapons ranging from guns and knives to explosives. It operates by capturing radar images, then using artificial intelligence to analyze those images for signs of a weapon concealed in bags or under clothing. Liberty says that the technology is not able to recognize facial features and therefore does not pose a privacy risk, a position experts in the field view with some skepticism. The Greater Toronto Airports Authority, which operates Pearson, says that it will start deploying the technology in the spring of 2020 in a bid to boost security. Dwayne McIntosh, Director of Corporate Safety and Security for the authority, said, quote, they were trying something that could give us a more definitive look at weapons and plastic explosives that may be coming into airports. When I saw this opportunity, I felt that we had to be part of it, end quote. McIntosh said the exact plans for the pilot project are still underway, but said HexWave units will be deployed just outside airport terminals in order to pick up on potential threats before they get inside. One of the system's benefits, he said, is that it can be integrated with other airport security features and trigger responses based on what it picks up. Detection of certain weapons, for instance, could automatically trigger doors to lock or sound specific alarms. Pearson Airport is not the only location. The Metro Toronto Convention Centre has also signed as a test site.
See, I like that last point about locking down doors.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
think about schools or something. Like just the idea behind that, as frightening as that is, and how we don't want that to ever be the case. It's like to be able to lock down based on an AI. Now that also has some scary connotations.
But, okay, I would say, like, human-based security
There are
is
movies
always,
like that.
human-based security is always going to be necessary, but also it's kind of easy to pull the wool over somebody's eyes if you know exactly how to socially interact, right? So to have AI kind of as a backup, not as the only.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah.
Right? That's good, right?
So think of it, that makes me think, okay, so my immediate thought was, oh, AI being able to lock down all the doors, maybe that's maybe that's dangerous. What if it was instead an alerting system? This is hypothetical.
Yeah.
But you think about the security guard or security person watching 300 monitors in the security room, and what if they don't catch what's happening on this monitor because they're looking at this monitor?
Right.
What if the AI could light it up red and say, something's going on here?
And it could be something really that doesn't even incite panic for people. Like, what if the triggered response is just something that comes across the hall and says, under construction, or it happens all the time at Pearson.
Right.
So like,
but what is it cool about this is that for us here in Canada, this is a local story for us. I mean, I'm in the Metro Toronto Convention Centre all the time. I fly out through Pearson often for work, and it's like, this is kind of neat. I'm excited to actually see this put into play and to see, do I even notice it?
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm going to, try to test it, but like to see, like walk in and go, oh yeah, okay, there's that sensor, and oh, there's that, like just to see if I can pick up on it, or does it just become part of everyday life? It's kind of neat. But what's interesting about it is that it's before you enter the airport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you get to those security checkpoints, you go through all the steps, but this is kind of like a pre-screening before you even get in there to protect everybody who's checking in for their flights, and that's where the massive load of people are.
And just flights in this particular scenario, but
there's thousands of people that could be in the lobbies all at once.
Sorry, can you?
No, you go ahead.
Sorry.
Just don't let me lose my thought.
I wanted to speak to the privacy side of things, where they said there's a little skeptical about the fact that faces aren't recognized or recognizable. I'm wondering what actually you would see on a scan.
Right.
Right? That, for me, would be interesting.
Well, you're not seeing. The AI is interpreting data and saying, okay, this person, there's some. So my thought is, could this also, not only the positive effect of knowing that, hey, that person is carrying a weapon, but could this also help to prevent stereotyping and racial profiling and falsely accusing or falsely stopping somebody?
Right.
Based on those kinds of things.
You know what I bet it would also help, too? It would diminish attempts with people knowing that the technology is integrated in. It might take... say somebody was going to target an airport, they're not going to target Pearson because they know that Pearson has this AI.
From a local perspective on this, I'm also going, does this really need to go into Pearson? Like, is there more going on than I realize?
Proactive, right?
Well, I get that, but it does
let's not wait until it happens.
Me wonder, like, okay, so they're piloting this, like, is there a reason for it? And it just makes me go, wow, they do a really good job if that's the case, because you never see anything go down at Pearson, at least the amount of times that I've been there. So to know that this is just an added layer of security that maybe is going to be never used would be great. But if it is going to cut down on stuff, I'm going, wow, well done, because I didn't know now it was an issue.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's cool. It's very cool.
Sasha, can I jump on to the cryptocurrency report just to let our viewers know kind of where things are standing?
Absolutely.
As of October 9th, 2019, this is what CoinGecko tells us. Bitcoin, Jeff, is on the rise once again. We're up $325.91 US, which brings us to $8,587.45 per coin.
Cool.
Facebook Libra still not trading. Litecoin is at 59.08, gaining just a few bucks. Ethereum is doing pretty well as well at $191.42, up from 177 last week. Monero is holding steady at 55.82. And Scala, one of the small little micro coins, is losing again just a little bit at 0.32 ten-thousandths of a cent. Turtle coin, on the other hand, is gaining the same amount almost at 0.26 ten-thousandths of a cent.
Is Scala the one that kept changing its name?
Yeah, it was Stellite, and then it was Torque, and then it became Scala.
So it's still on the downward trajectory. Like, it makes me wonder if this is really as a result of switching those names.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, if people have lost confidence.
Stopped trading in it. that's part of the problem.
Probably.
Right? You lose confidence in a coin that doesn't have stability. One of the things, looking at microcoins, Turtle Coin has been consistent.
Yes.
And it's been stable. And because of that, it's and their logo's a turtle shell,
it's
which
so
is pretty cool.
adorable.
Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the win. But really, I mean, that gives you confidence in the microcoin and being a microcoin. There's no risk, basically. It's not like you're going to buy 10 billion of them, but you can mine them because they're so plentiful, and you can get it on consumer hardware still, and that's still a possibility. But the thing to remember about cryptocurrency is that the market is always open and it's always changing. It's very volatile, and I mean, like, from right now at this very moment to 10 minutes from now and even overnight, it's going to change completely and flip on its head. So you really have to make sure that you're only investing and spending what you can afford to lose, because you quite frankly are very possibly going to lose it. It's up and down all the time. But hey, if you get gains, then that's a powerful thing. But also there's holding and investing in the future, and holding that and trusting that, hey, Bitcoin's going to be worth more one day. And I think that's what we're going to see as soon as Libra starts trading as well.
That's true.
You know, big investments coming into Libra, which is going to then very quickly boost the Libra economy and cause it to go up in value as well. So we'll see what happens.
It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, just keep that in mind.
Big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category 5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category 5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.
I'm Robbie Ferguson. I'm in charge of all of the tech around here. Sorry about that teleprompter, but you did all right, so
hey,
well
thanks.
done. Yeah.
And I'm Jeff Weston, and I just stand here.
He's here for the comic effect.
I read manuals. I read the instructions.
We do have to take a really quick break, folks. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. That's all the time that we have. Thank you again to our guests from the Orville this week. And next week, we're going to be doing some maker stuff. We're going to be building, assembling, creating our very own thermal imaging scanner using consumer available components. You don't want to miss out on that. Now, we're going to be using it to be able to create like a thermal visual of our single board computer so that we can see where the heat is and see how our cooling systems are working. We're going to actually be assembling that and building that next week, so you don't want to miss out on that. But it's all the time that we have this week. Hey, please do join us on Patreon for some added bonuses. They call them perks. You can go to patreon.com/category5. Your newsroom is now on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/newsroom.
I have my own Patreon.
Yeah. So if you want to support her news show, then head over there as well. And we greatly appreciate your support. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.